Imagine a universe, right? But not the one filled with distant galaxies, dark matter, and burning stars above us. I'm talking about a universe that is just as vast, incredibly intricate, and entirely hidden from plain view. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking an incredible journey into the most complex object ever discovered in the known universe. We're going to map out the microscopic cells that spark our thoughts and zoom all the way out to the grand, philosophical mysteries of human consciousness itself. So let's dive right in.
86 billion. That is the staggering number of neurons currently packed inside your head. And they aren't just sitting there. Every single second, trillions of electrical and chemical signals are traveling across this mind-blowing network, communicating over thousands of kilometers of neural connections. Just to put that into perspective, the information traveling in some of your nerve fibers is rocketing around at up to 120 meters per second.
And this really highlights a profound truth. We're not talking about some massive supercomputer in a lab, and it isn't some piece of advanced alien technology. It's inside your head right now. It is a biological engine made up of about 75% water that's actively controlling your heartbeat, your digestion, your memories, your deepest emotions, your dreams, and your entire sense of reality. You are, literally, experiencing the world through this remarkable machine. To really understand this engine, we have to look at the physical organ itself. Section 1, the macroscopic view, our 3-pound universe.
What's truly fascinating here is the sheer physical disproportion of it all. Your brain only weighs about 1.3 to 1.4 kilograms. That means it takes up a humble 2% of your total body weight. Yet its energy demand is off the charts. It consumes a massive 20% of your body's total energy. It is essentially a biological furnace that never truly sleeps. Even when you're completely unconscious and dreaming in bed, your brain is incredibly active, burning through all that energy just to keep you alive and functioning.
So to understand how it uses all that energy, we have to look at how it was built over hundreds of millions of years. Scientists generally divide the brain into 3 evolutionary layers. Down at the base, you've got the reptilian brain, which manages your raw survival. Stuff like breathing, heartbeat, reflexes, and balance. Built right on top of that is the limbic system, where things like the amygdala and hypothalamus live. This area controls your emotions, your fears, your motivations, and your memories. And finally, wrapping around the whole shebang is the neocortex. This is the newest and largest part of the brain. Think of it as the CEO. It powers language, logic, mathematics, planning, and conscious thought. That crowning layer is what makes our human experience entirely unique.
But of course, the macro relies entirely on the micro. Welcome to Section 2, the microscopic machinery, where we meet the true stars of the mind.
Remember those 86 billion neurons we talked about earlier? Well, this is how they actually talk to each other. Every thought you have, every memory you recall, every single movement you make begins exactly right here, with these neurons firing. And the communication flows in a very specific one-way direction. It starts at the dendrites, moves through the cell body, shoots down a long cable called the axon as an electrical impulse, and finally reaches a tiny gap called the synapse. But to cross that gap, the signal has to do something amazing. It has to change from an electrical signal into a chemical one. Those chemical messengers that cross the synapse, they're called neurotransmitters, and they dictate basically everything you feel. The crucial takeaway here is that your emotions and capabilities depend heavily on a very specific set of chemicals. Dopamine, for instance, isn't just about pleasure. It's what gives you the motivation and reward drive to learn something new. Serotonin provides calmness, confidence, and mood regulation. Need to move a muscle or form a new memory? You're going to need acetylcholine. GABA acts as your brain's brake pedal, promoting relaxation and bringing down anxiety, while glutamate is basically the gas pedal. It's the main excitatory chemical that's absolutely essential for learning. It is a delicate, beautiful chemical dance happening millions of times a second in your head.
With all those microscopic parts in motion, how do they actually create our daily experiences? We enter Section 3, the operating system, exploring exactly how we function day to day.
Let's take memory as an example. It feels totally instant to us, but it actually follows a strict 4-step linear process. First, information enters through your senses. Second, it's held briefly in your short-term memory. Third, a seahorse-shaped structure called the hippocampus steps in to act as a filter, deciding if this new information is actually important enough to keep. If it is, step 4 kicks in, and it gets stored permanently in your long-term memory. But here is a truly mind-bending fact. Your memory isn't a perfect video recording. Every single time you remember something, that memory physically changes your brain slightly. You are quite literally rewriting the file every single time you open it.
And that perfectly brings us to one of the most empowering concepts in all of neuroscience, neuroplasticity. The brain is not some static piece of hardware. It constantly changes. The more you practice a skill, the stronger the neural pathways become. This is exactly why repetition improves your skills. When you learn to play the guitar or speak a new language, you aren't just memorizing things. You are physically rewiring the structure of your own brain to make those actions smoother and faster. It's a real game changer.
But, as you can imagine, all that physical rewiring takes a massive toll, which is exactly why we have to sleep. Sleep isn't simply resting your eyes. It is non-negotiable biological maintenance. While you're in deep delta wave sleep or dreaming away in theta waves, your brain goes to work. It's actively flushing out toxic waste, physically repairing neurons, solidifying all those memories you made during the day, processing complex emotions, and boosting your creativity for tomorrow. Without enough sleep, your brain's performance doesn't just take a little dip, it rapidly declines.
But despite everything we know, we have barely scratched the surface. Section 4, The Unsolved Mysteries, exploring the ultimate frontiers of the mind.
This is it, the biggest question of them all. How does a 3-pound lump of wet, biological tissue suddenly wake up and experience the universe? How does the brain create awareness? You know you exist. You feel the warmth of the sun. You taste an apple. You experience the color red. But how exactly do electrical impulses and chemicals generate a subjective, conscious experience? Science has proposed several fascinating frameworks to try and explain this. The global workspace theory suggests consciousness is sort of like a spotlight on a theater stage, highlighting certain information for the rest of the brain to see. The integrated information theory argues that consciousness is just a fundamental property of highly connected networks. And predictive processing? That suggests our brains are basically just constantly hallucinating our reality, guessing what's out there based on past data. Yet, despite these brilliant theories, no one fully understands it. It remains one of science's most profound, beautifully unanswered questions.
And this elegantly brings us to a very modern comparison. We hear so much about AI today, right? And yes, artificial intelligence can process enormous amounts of data, way faster than we ever could. But when it comes to creativity, common sense, emotional intelligence, self-awareness, imagination, and adaptability, the human brain still absolutely crushes AI. And the most staggering part? Your brain pulls all of this off using only about 20 watts of power. That is barely enough to light a dim light bulb. A supercomputer trying to perform comparable tasks requires vastly, vastly more energy. We are hyper-efficient marvels of nature.
So, how do you actually take care of the most complex machine in the universe? Welcome to our final section, the maintenance guide. Let's talk about protecting your universe. Consider these daily habits your brain's ultimate owner's manual. If you want to protect your cognitive health over a lifetime, this is what the science demands. You need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Remember that essential biological maintenance we discussed? Exercise regularly to keep blood flowing to those tissues. Feed your brain omega-3 rich foods. Read daily and learn new skills to force that neuroplasticity to keep your pathways strong. Meditate and manage your stress to keep your amygdala from overheating. Stay socially connected and avoid smoking and excessive alcohol. Challenge your mind throughout your entire life and it will absolutely reward you.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought. The human brain allows us to think, to love, to imagine, to create, and to wonder about our very existence. We have spent centuries researching it, yet we are only just beginning to decode its deepest secrets. Perhaps the greatest mystery isn't the vast, starry universe above us, but the universe inside our own minds. If your brain is physically rewiring itself based on everything you choose to experience, the ultimate question is, what kind of universe are you building inside your head right now? Keep learning, keep wondering, and thank you so much for exploring with us today.